Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Come on in. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Welcome to Dr. Boyce Daily. Welcome to the Money in the Morning class. This is where we get together every single day and we talk about Black wealth, and we talk about it from a B1 perspective. B1 means we're Black first. Black first means that we put our own community at the top of our priority list. Black first B1 means that our people are going to win, whether anybody likes it or not. B1 means that we love our children. B1 means we invest in ourselves. B1 means we want to do better. We're going to always work hard and we're never going to give up. B1 means that we are meant to win. Give me a yes if you agree. Give me a yes if that's your vibe. Give me a yes if you understand where I'm coming from and why I'm so passionate about this, because I really kind of think that there's something that we really have to address when it comes to our wealth. We have to become serious people. And if you behave like a serious person, then the world will take you seriously, right? It's not this is not calculus. This is not even algebra. And I want to actually start off by asking you all a quick question. Question, give me a yes or no in the chat. Would you spend $16,000 on a prom? Yes or no? Another question is, would you take out a loan to pay for the prom? Yes or no? What do you think? Would you mortgage your future to get likes on Instagram? What do y'all think? So let's talk about people that go broke trying to look rich. Not making fun of anybody, but I got to tell the truth. All right, so let's break this down. All right, so by the way, quick announcements. If Today is Wealth Accelerator weekend, Lawrence Eggleston, aka the Panther, is going to be basically teaching swing trading, getting you started with swing trading. I'm not big on day trading. The research says day trading's gonna only drive you crazy and lose your money. But swing trading now, I wrote my dissertation on some swing trading stuff. And Lawrence Eggleston, I like him because he's a young guy. He's 25 and he's bringing in a good vibe. And so maybe you can sign up and sign up your children, invite your sons. I mean, everything that he does this weekend is going to be available afterwards. So feel free to join the Wealth Accelerator weekend on swing trading. I'm going to put that link in the chat so that you all can still join. I just gotta find it because I got stuff all over my computer screen and I can't always find everything I'm looking for, but I'll find it before we're done. And you can just go in there and feel free to join at noon. They're going to meet Saturday, Sunday, and he's going to do a bonus day on Monday. And by the time the weekend is over, you will be proficient at swing trading and be able to go out there and make some money without driving yourself crazy. Stock market investing is the number one wealth builder in America. In fact, 88% of all millionaires also would agree that financial literacy is critical for investing. 88% of all millionaires say that financial literacy is one of their top priorities. So if you're not embracing financial literacy on a regular basis, it's hard to imagine where you're going to be wealthy in this country. That's like me saying I want to be a great musician, but I don't want to pick up an instrument. It makes no sense at all. Or I want to win a Super Bowl, but I don't want to go to a football practice. Sorry about that. And so ultimately, you got to practice the things that you want to be good at. I hope that that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense to you. All right, so let's talk about this thing with the prom. All right, so I put a video about this woman on my Instagram. I am not making fun of her. I want to make that 100% clear. I told you all I'm not interested in judgmental finance. I think judgmental finance is where somebody, makes you feel shamed for the fact that you enjoy your money. You sort of slaps that cup of coffee out of your hand and it tells you that that McDonald's wrapper in your car should make you feel ridiculous and embarrassed and that you're a terrible person because you bought a pair of Air Jordans. I am not that guy. You guys know that. I don't believe you have to do that in order to build wealth. I don't believe that at all. But I was really kind of taken aback when she mentioned she spent $16,000 on her daughter's prom. The clip is on my Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance. So if you want to see the whole clip and join the conversation there, just go to Dr. Boyce Finance on Instagram. You can find it there. And basically, she was sort of saying, hey, I wanted my daughter to have a great prom because I didn't have one. She said that we can afford it. We're not going broke over this. And so we were just enjoying our money. Now, given that particular context, how many of you think that that's okay? That she just said, look, yeah, we're going to spend some big money, but we're okay. We spent 16,000, but maybe they've got another 100,000 sitting to the side, and so they're financially secure. How many of you think that that's okay? I do. I'm going to say yes. I think it's okay for her to do that. I don't think it's necessarily anybody's right to judge. However, it is our right to examine. right? Even though it's not our right to shame her, it is our right to learn an economic lesson, right? Even though it's not our right to stop her from making the decision that she's going to make, it is our right to say, let's take a look at some of the opportunity costs in terms of the trade-offs that occur, particularly when you talk about a community where your wealth is actually going down. Right? If you don't examine these things, remember, God gives you lessons every day. The world is nothing but a big old classroom. That's what I see. I see the world as a big giant classroom. There's less economic lessons everywhere, and you got to go find the lesson and go get the blessing. Can I get an amen in the chat? You got to find the lesson, and then you can dig out the blessing. So how about we bless ourselves and bless each other by digging in and seeing if there's an economic lesson that we can pick up from here from this conversation? Because $16,000 on a prom is quite a bit. So first, let's start with the opportunity cost. First off, did y'all know this? What if she said, instead of spending 16,000 on your prom, I want to bless you by making sure that you have plenty of money in the bank by the time you're say 35 years old. So I'm going to take the 16,000 and I'm going to plop it into the S&P 500. I'm going to randomly pick a bunch of stocks as long as they're in the S&P 500 and do what this weirdo got with this weird annoying guy named Dr. Boyce says you should do, which is to just put your money in with the best companies in America. We're going to buy some Microsoft, some Tesla, some Apple, whatever. Does anybody know how much money she would have by the age of 35? With that $16,000, by the time the girl's 35, it would turn into roughly $80,871.52. By the time she's 45, it would turn into $209,759. By the time she's 55, it would be $544,063, $500,000. And by the time she retires, it would be $1.4 million. $1.4 million that then she'd be able to transfer down into generational wealth, which then turns into 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, 6 million. So when you spend $16,000, I don't care if you spend $16,000. I don't. I really don't. I promise you I don't. So don't like, do y'all understand? Give me a yes if you do, if you're hearing me when I say I don't. It's okay. All right. Give me a yes if we get this. Okay. I want to make sure this is clear. I don't care if you spend $16,000. I just need you to make sure you know what you're spending. Do you understand? I just need you to make sure you know what it is. It's like a one night stand. Somebody says, is it okay to have sex on a one night stand?" And my friend who's a Bible thumper, he's like, "No, that's immoral." And my other friend is like, "No, you should do whatever you want." And I'm like, "Look," they're like, "Dr. Boyce, what do you think?" I'm like, "I don't care. Do what you want. As long as you know what it is." Right? Because if you have a one night stand and you think you're getting married the next day, that's not going to happen, right? That's not what this is. This is not a relationship. This is quick, easy sex. So my point is to say that my job is not to tell you what to do. And I don't do that. I don't do that. My job is to make sure you know what it is, right? Like for example, even if you talk about something like pro-life and pro-choice, I thought about it for a long time. I give money to I got this award because I support this organization called Auntie Angie's House in Atlanta, where they find women that were thinking about terminating the pregnancy, and they support the women. They help them. They give them the food and the things they need because they say, look, you shouldn't a child's right to live shouldn't be determined by how much money their mother has in the bank account, right? And so anyway, I told them though, I said, I realized over time, I think I'm actually probably pro-choice because you're never going to see me standing in front of a clinic blocking people's access to the door. You're never going to see me shaming somebody because of their decision. You're never going to see me pushing for laws that are going to force people to believe what I believe. I don't do that. So I think I'm pro-choice. But where I kind of end up being a little bit political is I say, yeah, but do you understand the magnitude of that choice? Right? Do you understand? Like, as long as you understand what you're giving up, right? Then it's okay, right? That makes more sense. When somebody says, "Oh, it ain't no big deal. It's just a little piece of little worthless cells in your body." I don't agree with that. I think about myself. All of us started off as little cells and embryos and all that, right? Like I told you, my mother was 17 when she gave birth to me, and they wanted her to go down to the Planned Parenthood clinic and just make her little problem go away. Because that's all I was a little problem. I wasn't Boyce, I wasn't a person, I was just a little problem. And my mother said, "No, God told me to do something different, so I'm gonna go ahead and give birth to this baby." And they said, "But you ain't got no money." She said, "That's okay. I'm gonna figure it out." And God got me, right? And that's where faith kicks in. And so she gives birth to me. And at first, I'm just this little kid who's pretty worthless for the most part. All I do is eat, sleep, and use the bathroom. And then over time, I became an asset for her. Over time, little Boyce became big Boyce, right? And big Boyce got started to give big boy money. And big Boyce was able to write $100,000 checks for her during retirement to make sure that she was financially good. So again, it's not a matter of just saying like, okay, this is all he is. This is the thing about investing. This is what you got to understand is that the biggest thing about being an investor, and I'm gonna circle back to the prom thing in a minute, but I want you to see, draw the picture in your head, okay? The thing about being an investor is that they're not limited by what's in front of them. They're expansive in their thinking. They don't just see what something is, they see what it's becoming. What something is becoming is more important than what it is. Like if you're 21 years old and you're sitting around watching Netflix all day, smoking weed with your boys and getting drunk every day and doing irresponsible things, you're not yet you're not yet a loser, but you're becoming a loser because you're not working hard at anything. You're not. I'm not sorry. I know it sounds judgmental, but you are. You're kind of becoming the 35-year-old guy who also hasn't accomplished anything, and then you'll be the 45-year-old guy who's an alcoholic, and so you got to look down the road. This is what investing's about. This is how the stock market operates. The whole stock market is all about looking down the road. Do you know how many companies there are right now on the market that have a market cap of in the billions? I was explaining this to a young man I mentored the other day. There are companies in the stock market right now that have market caps in the billions that don't make a profit at all, that have never made a profit. They don't sell anything. They don't make any money. So you're like, how in the hell can a company that's losing billions of dollars be worth billions of dollars? You're a loser. You're losing money. The reason that the valuations appear is because people see what they're becoming. Uber is a great example. Thank you, Gary. Uber lost $9 billion 2 or 3 years ago, right? But they've been worth tens of billions of dollars for a very long time because people see what Uber is becoming. So never ever get caught up in what something is. Always think about what it's becoming. So here's the deal. Look, so when this mom says, I'm going to spend $16,000 on my baby's prom because I love my baby and all that, I get it. Okay. Um, the 16,000 isn't just $16,000. It's becoming $1 million. It's becoming $2 million. It's a little baby. It's a seed, right? Money's a seed. Financial fertility. I talk about that in my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. The idea of financial fertility, and the fertility exists. Money has life in it. Money grows. Money is alive until you kill it. So black wealth is dying because every time we get a little seed, little baby, little seed, little $100, $2,000, we run up and we say, "Kill that baby!" So we stab it and we cut its head off, and then the baby dies. And then I know that's graphic. They're talking about killing babies. What's wrong with you, boys? You're a weirdo. But still, that's what it is. So if somebody says no, 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 let's take the 16,000 and let's see what it can become. Let's invest it and let this money grow, let it breathe. Well, eventually that little baby money becomes big boy, big girl money. And so when you lose $16,000, never ever believe that you're just losing $16,000. You're losing $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. It's like if I find the baby version of Barack Obama and I kill him at the age of 3, I build a time machine to go back and do something horrible, like take out Barack Obama at the age of 3, which I would never do. I'm not just taking out a 3-year-old. I'm taking out the president of the United States. Do you follow me? Money is supposed to grow. So, with that being said, let's dig deeper into this. As I move on, one more thing I want to mention. There's something free I wanted to give you guys. It's a lot of you are trying to get off the corporate plantation, so I put together something. It's a training I did many years ago, but it's still very relevant. It's called the Dr. Boyce Game Plan to Escape the Corporate Plantation. It's totally free. I'm going to share this with you in the chat right now. I'm going to put it in here so you guys can have it. There it is. There's the link right there. And so all of you that, and also don't forget, if you want to join the live stream in the morning, get a Zoom invitation, all that stuff, make sure you text the word morning to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. We do class every single morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. And our goal is we're obsessed with building the economics in our community. Absolutely obsessed with it. You can't be too obsessed with building up the economic strength of your community. One thing I want to mention too that's really interesting is I had a person that said, I put something up about Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey, and he said, "How are you a capitalist and you're repping Malcolm X?" And I said, "Well, first off, you obviously don't know me very well. Number one, I'm not a capitalist. Like, capitalism is greedy and obsessive and negative and terrible and harmful to people. It kind of creates slavery, in my opinion, if it's used in excess." I said, "But I'm not a capitalist. But here's the thing, I don't think black people have more power when we're completely broke." Like, do you agree with that? What do y'all think? That a broke community is going to have a hard time achieving anything in a capitalist society? Do we agree on that? Can we agree on it? Give me a guess if you get what I'm saying, right? Like, if everybody's struggling, and everybody's begging for jobs, and everybody's sort of under the thumb of white America economically, then it's really hard for you to walk around and say, do you have any form of black power or you're fighting for freedom or whatever? You can't you're not going to have that, right? So what I explained to him was I said, no, I just don't want black people to be broke. And I think Malcolm X would agree that we are better off if we own and control our own resources. Do you agree? Can I get an amen on that? I explained that to him because one of the things that happens is that sometimes people hijack what black people are trying to do. They'll come in and they'll try to put a socialist label on what we're doing, or they'll put a capitalist label on what we're doing, or they'll put a Democratic Party label on what we're doing, or they'll put a Republican Party label on what we're doing. I have no interest in being any of those things. I'm not Democrat. I don't want to be Republican. I don't want to be socialist. I don't want to be capitalist. I just want to be black and I want to be strong and I want to be healthy and I want to be happy and I want my children to eat and I want our families to win and I want our people to be educated. I want us to be on top. That's what I want. I want black competition. I want us to just show up as the best version of ourselves that we can be and to win at all costs. So this is a point of clarity I want to make because a lot of times, unfortunately, people want to try to box things in and get my thinking's pretty complex on these things because I that's what happens when you obsess over financial stuff for many years. But I really hope that you'll consider stop letting people label you. Stop letting people recruit you to support their agenda and support their cause, right? How about you recruit yourself, right? If you recruit yourself, then they can't recruit you because you're already occupied. If you define yourself, then they can't define you because you've already got a clear definition. Do you understand? If you let your children know who they are, then the world can't tell them who they are because the kids show them they say, no, you're telling me I'm this, but I know I'm not this. I'm that, right? I'm something else because I've already been labeled and I've been labeled by the family and by the community, and they already took me through the rite of passage. So I'm not interested in being whatever else you want me to be. That's really important. That identity is critical for you to really focus on you and to focus on yours and to focus on your community. You have to have this, right? So stop labeling yourself. Stop trying to fit in. Fit in with yourself. Stop trying to get in somebody else's group and I want to sit at the table. Well, build a damn table. There's black folks that are building tables. Join that table. Anyway, let's be creative with it. All right, so here's another thing I want to mention. All right, so let's jump back into this lady who spent the $16,000 on the prom. So we've established this pretty clearly. The $16,000 is not $16,000. We mentioned that investing that amount of money to retirement would turn into about $1.5 million for her daughter. So again, I'm not judging the decision. I'm just saying that she didn't just lose $16,000. She lost about $1.4 million if you look at it from what is called a time value of money perspective. Money grows if you give it time and you keep it alive. But if you take it off life support and pull the plug, then your money will die. A lot of money dies in the black community because we don't make a consistent conscious effort to keep it alive. That's one of your issues. Now, here's another thing here that's really interesting. So I was listening to, and I put the video on my Instagram, which is Dr. Boyce Finance. Feel free to follow me there if you want to. I think I'm probably shadow banned because the crazy stuff I say, I don't know. But anyway, so here's the deal. The mother, when they asked her, what made you do this? What her response was very emotional. She said, I didn't have a prom and I wanted my daughter to have a prom. And it was really important for me to make sure that we made this day very special. I don't know if you know this, but there's like whole financial theories around emotional spending. In fact, the emotional spending is why in the Black Business School we created the first ever Black financial therapy department where we work with the best therapists in the Black community to understand the psychological barriers to building Black wealth. you have a lot of trauma. You have a lot of emotional diseases that were passed down through these various generational curses that often block your ability to pursue the blessing that's for you. It really blocks your blessings. I guess maybe I'm talking like because I spoke at a great church this week, the Daylight Christian Center in Detroit, and they're actually training the whole congregation on powernomics. They're training them on the Ten Commandments of Black economic power. They're training them on healthy relationships. They had a whole marriage summit. Like everybody who's a part of a church, get your church to be active. Get them to do stuff. Get them to show this video to the whole church. I've had people do this. Just play the video on the big screen for the whole congregation. What's St. Stephen's Church in Louisville, Kentucky, with Dr. Kevin Cosby? They're making sure that the whole hood is financially educated because they're sitting on a gold mine. They're sitting in what was before seen as one of the poorest neighborhoods in America, but they see how much cheap land there is. They're seeing how much low cost labor there is in order to build empires. They see how many youth there are that are walking around with nothing to do that can be trained to be economic soldiers for the next generation. So really, you got to see the wealth that's all around you instead of thinking you got to leave your own neighborhood in order to find the economics. So going back to the $16,000 spent on this prom, there's a whole sort of discussion about the emotionality of spending. And when I heard her say this, I said, okay, so this is emotional for her. And emotional spending leads to what they call irrational thinking. And so one theory by Thornstein and Veblen is focused on something called conspicuous consumption. Conspicuous consumption relates to spending money as a type of status symboling. So spending big is not out of necessity, but to demonstrate wealth, prestige, or success. So the prom may be a luxury stage to kind of show off your financial clout, right? So clout chasing. How many of you now? Not to say this mom is doing that. I'm not saying that at all. But how many of you have seen that? How many of you have seen people that will show off what they have? I remember Shador Sanders. You know, every time he'd win a game, he'd pull his watch up and show his watch off. And I'm not judging it one way or the other, but honestly, I don't see that a lot from like say white quarterbacks per se, because white people, you know, that's not really sort of part of their culture. But for us, it's like I'm gonna show you what I have. I'm gonna wear the diamonds on my neck. I'm gonna wear the fancy outfit. I'm gonna pull up in the Mercedes because I want you to see what I have. I want to show off to you. And the problem with showing off is that that's very, very expensive. Number one. You have this image that you then have to maintain. I remember talking to Al Sharpton, who told me he was talking to some famous rapper who was going broke, who was literally about to go bankrupt, and he said that the reason that he still spends all this money on all this stuff is because he needs to pretend like he's doing well. He needs to status symbol so that people, or status signal so that people will believe that he's doing well, even though he's not. And I'm gonna tell you, keeping up with the Joneses can be very exhausting, and it's probably much cheaper. A great financial move is to learn how to love yourself enough to be okay with who you are. Really, I mean, I'm gonna tell you that I'm not a broke man, but you'll never see me out here trying to show off and pretend like I've got like all this money and stuff. In fact, I'd rather you, when people call me broke, I say, thank you very much. That's a compliment. I'm happy. I'm glad I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna let you believe that because I really don't want you asking me for no money. Right. My job is not, my goal is not to prove to anybody that I'm financially secure other than my wife. She needs to know that I'm not broke. Outside of that, you can assume whatever you want. I think there was a website that said the net worth of Dr. Boyce Watkins is $50,000, and they said, "Man, that's insulting. How would they say that?" I said, "I don't give a damn. Yeah, let them believe it. Yes, that's cool. It might not even be that. It might. I could be working at Wendy's, y'all. Like really. And that's the thing. Like when you're doing well." You're doing well. And the best way to do well is to not tell everybody how well you're doing because that's going to create problems for yourself. It's going to just draw a lot of weird energy, and you don't want all that. Just love yourself enough to say it's okay. Like, but if you want a nice car or nice clothes or whatever, get those things. But make sure you understand the psychology behind why people do these things. Also, there is something in behavioral finance called emotional spending and present bias. And so basically, when you talk about a prom, a lot of times we'll discuss a prom as this is a once in a lifetime kind of thing. And that's what they call present bias, where you are so excited about the fact that, oh my God, this is my one opportunity. If you look at a lot of people in our community, unfortunately, maybe high school graduation is seen as like the pinnacle of educational achievement. So you see a lot of dancing and jumping up and down and praise dancing, backflips and everything else. You would think that they all got PhDs that day. But for some people, maybe it's like, okay, this is my chance. This is my one chance to shine. So the prom is like the wedding day, right? If you consider you have a community where most of your black youth are not going to ever get married, maybe for them that's like the wedding. I don't know. I don't know, something like that. But anyway, what happens is that when you identify a day as kind of a once in a lifetime moment, like the big wedding, even though you might end up getting divorced 6 months later, or the prom date or whatever, that can trigger a lot of irrational spending where you just say, YOLO, let's go all out because this is the only chance we're going to have to do this. There are no great moments coming up in the future, maybe, or maybe this might be the last opportunity we have to really be fancy and to feel good about ourselves. So also there's one more theory by Bordeaux and Festinger that talks about cultural capital and social comparison theory. So it says here that in some communities, things like a lavish prom spending is connected to something called cultural capital, which for some parents, how many of you, let me ask you this, how many of you have seen parents you say that they spend money basically because I want to do for my kids and they want to kind of show everybody else that they're taking care of their kids and that they're getting their kids the things that they never had, things like that, right? So effectively, this is connected to upward mobility, right? So you don't want your kids to appear to be doing worse than the kids next to them. So to some extent, a lot of financial spending is keeping up with the Joneses in terms of the kids, right? Like I don't want my kids looking raggedy next to everybody else's kids because they're going to talk bad about me. So it becomes like it's this crazy arms race where you have parents really trying to outdo each other, which is really interesting to watch. And I could just say that if you ever want to go broke and spend all your money, get into an arms race, get into a competition with somebody, and then you'll find that everything that you have is going to go out the door. So again, I'm not saying that this 16,000 was going to set this lady back. I don't know her personal finances. I will say that 16,000 on a prom is interesting because it seems like you can still have fun at a prom with maybe $2,000 or $1,500. I would also say this, that no matter how much money you have to really make sure you understand what you're giving up. A lot of wealth is mindset. If you get money and you think of money as something that you're supposed to spend, then that's not the mindset that's going to build wealth. When you get money, the right mindset to have is to see money as an opportunity. It is an opportunity for you to build wealth with that money. Do you understand? So when you give that money up, when you spend it instead of invest it, when you let it go instead of putting it to the side, or you do something crazy instead of doing something rational, what you've done is you're passing up an opportunity. And y'all know what the word poor stands for, POOR. Put it in the chat. Poor stands for what? Passing over opportunities repeatedly. Poor is passing over opportunities repeatedly. Most of us in here can look back and kick ourselves over how much money we've had that we wasted, where we blew the opportunity. How many of you have gone through that? I kick myself all the time. I think of, man, what would have happened if I had been disciplined and started consistently buying Apple and Nike stock in like 1992? You'd have an insane amount of money. Or what if I just consistently bought the Bitcoin when the price was just $100, $200, $500 per coin? I didn't do that the way I wanted to. I look back and I say, "Oh my God, if I had a time machine, I could go back 15 years. That's one of the biggest things I would change. I would go back to 2010 or 2005 and I would invest half of my income. And I put it in the stock market, and you wouldn't even have to know how to invest in the stock. All you have to do is find S&P 500 companies, and your wealth would explode over the next 20 years. But we missed that. We missed that because we have that present bias. In 2005, you weren't thinking about 2025. You were thinking about 2005. And then in 2008, you weren't thinking about 2025. You were thinking about 2008, right? So really what I'm challenging you to do now is stop thinking about 2025 and start thinking about 2045. Start thinking about 2035. 2030 is not that far away. 2030 is to 2025 what 2020 is to 2025. 2020 was the pandemic. The pandemic was pretty much yesterday. That's 5 years. In those 5 years, those of you who've been investing consistently have probably built a ridiculous amount of wealth. 5 years is enough time to really change your life. So what I'm encouraging you to do is make a decision right now that you're going to level up your game. You're going to be more consistent. You're going to make your move, and you're going to stop passing over opportunities repeatedly because that will hurt you long term. It won't just hurt you; it'll hurt your kids. Your unborn children are depending on you. The unborn grandchildren are depending on you to make a good decision right now with the opportunity, the massive amount of opportunity you have in front of you. And this is also the part of being black that's really that where I step in and I start becoming a black man again, in the sense that I'm telling you, stop letting people make you think that because you're black that you ain't got nothing. Don't let them think that because you're black you ain't got no opportunity unless Master Charlie decides to give you one. No, stop thinking that you don't have abundance all around you. You have all kinds of abundance and all kinds of opportunity. If you can go to Applebee's for lunch, then you can go invest. So at the end of the day, stop believing that you are poor and that you don't have anything to protect and defend. Because if you believe that you have nothing to protect and defend, that means you don't value what's around you. The things you don't value are the things you do not invest in. These are the things that you're going to throw away and waste. So value yourself, value your life, value your opportunities. Count your freaking blessings and then invest those blessings so you can flip them into bigger blessings long term. Can I get a yes in the chat if you get what I'm saying? Let me know if I did something good today. I hope that I helped some of you because I really want to encourage you to just do your absolute best. And I talked about the $16,000 prom not because I'm making fun of what this lady does with her money. I don't even know this lady. I brought it up because it's an opportunity to talk about some of the different theories that are out there in terms of explaining why the psychology of your wealth plays a huge role in what your outcomes are going to be. All right, great. I'm glad you guys get it. All right, so let me mention a couple things. Number one, the game plan to get off the corporate plantation. I'll put that link in the chat one more time, so you guys can grab that if you want to. Here we go. It's right there in the chat, so feel free to grab that and do with it as you wish. I hope that this helps you. It's a piece of the Black Wealth Boot Camp, and but that you can watch that whole training for free. Second of all, Lawrence Eggleston is going to. He's the Panther. That's what they call him, the Panther, because he's good. He's a great swing trader. He's doing his the Wealth Accelerator weekend with us in the Black Business School this weekend. Lawrence, I met Lawrence at InvestFest, and he used to work with the guys at Earn Your Leisure, who I just love and respect immensely. I'm glad that they're just really doing what they're doing, in terms of impacting the wealth journey for our community. And so here's a link if you want to join the Wealth Accelerator weekend. I'll put that in there as well. They start today at noon. They're going to meet online today, tomorrow, and Monday. So you guys can check that out. And I hope you guys will gain something from it. I know you will, because I know Lawrence is very good at what he does. All right. So anyway, have a good day, guys. And it's great to see you. And thank you so much for listening and hanging out with me. I'm gonna let you all go. I'm in Detroit. I gotta get ready to fly today. And we got a graduation coming up and a bunch of other stuff. So love you very much. Bless you. Thank you guys for hanging out. And I will see you.